What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 316.2. John Robertson's and Michelle Garmon's reaction to the Sparks 89-87 win over the Fever on Saturday in Indianapolis.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, Fever fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and John Robertson and Michelle Garmon's reaction to the Sparks 89-87 upset win over the Fever. And John, we'll start with you. I say upset because it just looked like the Fever were about to put the game away, about to put it away, and the Sparks just made big shot after big shot.
Yeah, on paper, the Fever should win this game almost every time, but we've lost to them twice in the last week after having big wins over two much better teams. So you're absolutely right. On paper, the Fever should win this game. I just think there's something in the matchup that they struggle with, and shorthanded because, we're missing Damaris and we're missing Kayla. They just couldn't keep up. I think there was a few bright spots in the game, but I think overall, it's a game they should have won.
And really looking, I thought, the Sparks are a difficult defensive matchup for the Fever right now, especially shorthanded, because they have five players that can step out beyond the three-point line. And then they have some drivers. And I just think that in that length, and I just think that is different from what the Fever have seen the last couple games. The Sparks are more front court oriented than they are back court oriented. I know they have Plum, and then they have some other guards that can hit, but Jackson's really a forward, Hamby's a forward, Stevens is in the post. Yes, that's what the thing with them, I think maybe makes them difficult, is they're so front court oriented, and that probably hurts a little bit.
Well, I think the Sparks are definitely a bigger team. They have size, and when they have to put so much emphasis, when the Fever have to put so much defensive emphasis on the size, it allows for Kelsey Plum to make threes, or Almond was making threes tonight too. Like they just kept coming up with good shots when they needed them, but that's because the Fever defensively had to focus on the inside. But so that it was, like I said, I think it's just a hard matchup for them right now, but I think they'll get it figured out. I don't think there's anything to be stressed out about from this game. I honestly thought there was some real bright spots from Michaela Timpson's minutes that we can focus on. Like, she looked really strong.
That was definitely the positive coming out of this one for sure, was Timpson's minutes.
Yeah, she looked really good. That block was like a highlight play. She had a really good block. That's a good takeaway. So for a rookie to come in and play 12 minutes, I mean, she only had 5 points, but her her rebounds were strong. Defensively, blocking wise, she's good. So that's a huge takeaway. I liked that a lot. Boston still looked super strong. Howard looked good. So, I mean, the team's looking fine. Like, if anybody's going to freak out about this loss, I think that's ridiculous. Like, yes.
It's just a bummer it got away.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I just think that the Sparks just kept getting the shots when they needed to keep them, that kept the Fever from getting any real solid momentum. And that's what Fever thrives on, is momentum and speed.
They do. I mean, they thrive a lot on that. And, I think, too, the Fever were coming off huge, big wins for them. I mean, like you said, they beat the Lynx, and then they beat the Aces. It ended a 15-game losing streak to the Aces. And not that you overlook anybody, but they probably did have a little bit of a letdown, because in those last two games that they played, it's probably the best defense that Fever have played this season overall from start to finish.
Well, the defense wasn't bad tonight. It's just they were stretched so far with having, and then like when the shooters are hitting, that burns them, right? So they needed to get a little bit more of a gap of a lead when they had the opportunity, when they had momentum. If they could have got it up to 8 or 9, I think they could have held, but the Sparks just wouldn't die.
I'll say this, because a lot of people would think she shouldn't be taking the ball out, but I thought they missed Clark, but I thought they really missed Clark on that last out of bounds, the last out play. They had a chance to win it. Because her passing, I think they had that length on her, and I just don't think she saw well around it, and I just don't think she has quite the same instincts as like.
I just think the biggest difference you're going to see when you have all these people saying that the Fever play better without Clark online and all that stuff, that's just nonsense. Like, I mean, that's the narrative you're hearing a lot from certain people.
Super.
And It's dumb because if Caitlin's in there, Sparks have to put so much attention on her that Boston's going to be open or Kelsey's going to be open or Howard. Somebody's going to be open because Caitlin's going to be distracting them so much. So again, like the same thing we've been saying for the last 2, maybe 3 reactions. All this time without Caitlin is great for the team because it's building confidence and they're playing really well. Yeah, they lost the game, but they're playing really well. And once Caitlin comes back and teams are forced to put so much attention to her, the rest of the people are going to play just as well as they've been playing, if not better.
The only thing they're playing better without Caitlin Clark is defense. McDonald is a better defender than Clark.
Yeah,
down.
I'll give you that. McDonald's a better defender.
But Clark is better at turning defense into offense.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal as well.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the pressure that they've been able to put on, that's the only thing, and that's the only thing where they're better at. I mean, where they're better without Clark is defensively, especially like in that half.
But Caitlin's been playing better defense this year than she did last year. Like, let's not, like, last year she was a defensive liability, but this year she's been playing better.
But she's still not better than an average defender.
Well, no, I'm saying she's still better than she was. So, like, give her time to get settled once she's off this injury, and maybe she'll surprise you. I mean, I'm not even like the biggest, I'm not going to sit here and just puff her up more than I think she deserves. But
no, we don't do that on this podcast.
No, but I also think like we got to give her credit that when she was this season has been better defensively. Now Ari's better on defense, yeah, absolutely, but I still think you get more off of the attention she draws from defenders on the offensive side than you do on her lack of defense.
I wasn't meaning in any way, because they do miss her on the offensive end. They miss her passing and that extra perimeter shooter. It's interesting. I do think.
You know what though? Ari's passing has been I'm not going to take away from Caitlin's passing. It is top tier. It is immaculate. But Ari's had some passes that make you think, "Whoa, where did that come from? That was good." And Kelsey's been passing more. Like she's had a couple of drives with a little short lob out to AB that's been a really solid play.
I'm talking about the half-court passing as much as I am in transition.
Oh, like the full court, get it down to the person. Yeah,
Taylor does that outlet, that transition pass better than anybody.
Guys, am I seeing the Fever schedule right? That the next game is at noon on Wednesday? What is that about?
So every year, each team has a noon game where it's like they invite schools and kids to come in. I forget what it's called. There's a name for it, but it's a day that every team does it every year.
Cool.
Yeah,
and that game is against the Valkyries Wednesday at noon. That's the next one. And Friday at home against the Dream. Sunday at home against the Wings. Guys, final thoughts.
I think it's a disappointing loss, but nothing to get too worked up about. That's pretty much the way I'm taking tonight.
I agree. It is disappointing, but people shouldn't overreact to this loss. It's tough. I mean, every game in the WNBA is tough, and it becomes tough when you're shorthanded. And again, we've said this. You've pointed this out, John. The positives coming out of this are what the other players are doing and how much they've improved. So when Caitlin comes back, they're going to be stronger. And I mean, Tinsley's, and I'll tell you what, I think the player that's really impressed me a lot the last couple of weeks has been Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're seeing a lot of good stuff, and we're supposed to get Dantas back for our next game, so we'll see how it goes, and maybe Caitlin will be back too.
And we assume I would assume Caitlin as well. I think
I'm going to go with
an extra game or two than they probably needed to, and probably good to go.
Yeah, I think she'll play next game. I figured she wouldn't play tonight, but I think she'll play the next game. That's my prediction.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it, and we will talk to you again on Wednesday. Thank you so much for listening. Always appreciate it. Thank you so much to John and Michelle for joining the podcast and sharing their thoughts on the Fevers with the Central Indiana Sports Report listeners. Starting soon, these will have game recaps followed by John and Michelle. And we will have full 20-minute recaps after every single Fever game the rest of the year. And in the playoffs, we'll probably have longer recaps. But during the regular season, every game, 20-minute recaps, 10 minutes of the story of what happened, and then 10 minutes with John and Michelle. That's the plan. Thanks again. Please share. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a podcast of ITG Media, and I love Susie.